You little bitch from the sticks. Did you really think you could trap my son?" The words, sharp and cold as shattered glass, were hurled from the pristine, marble-floored foyer of a Chicago brownstone. "Look at her, Lily. Standing there like a stray dog someone forgot to kick. Pathetic." The voice belonged to Eleanor Vance, the woman who was supposed to be my future mother-in-law. A woman who, just weeks ago, had held my hands in her own, her rings cold against my skin, and told me I was the perfect match for her son, Ethan. Her daughter, Lily, stood beside her, arms crossed, a smirk playing on her lips, a perfect reflection of her mother's cruelty. A glass of ice water appeared in Eleanor's hand. I saw it coming, but I didn't move. I couldn't. The splash was a shock, a sudden, biting cold that ran in rivulets down my face, my neck, soaking the collar of my simple cotton dress. It wasn't just water, it was a baptism of shame. "Get the hell off my property, and don't you ever come back. We don't want your kind here. We don't want your filth." She slammed the heavy oak door, the sound echoing in the unnerving quiet of the affluent street. And I was left alone, drenched, shivering, with nothing but the ghost of her words and the frantic, desperate beat of my own heart. The heart of a girl who had lost everything. The heart of a mother protecting a child who wasn't even born yet. And in that moment, all I could think was, how did I get here? How did a love that felt like destiny turn into this waking nightmare? It feels like another lifetime ago, but it all started with a dream. My name is Stella. I grew up in a small town in Ohio, the kind of place where everyone knows your name, your parents' names, and the mistakes your grandfather made. It's a town of vast cornfields and even vaster skies, where life moves at the pace of the seasons. My family was simple. My parents worked the land, their hands rough and their hearts full, just trying to provide for me, my older brother, and my younger sister. We didn't have much, but we had enough, except for my brother, being the only son, the one meant to carry the family name. He was the son my parents' world orbited around. He was spoiled, coddled, and it ruined him. He dropped out of high school, chasing cheap thrills and bad company. Green hair 1 month, bleached blonde the next, and then came the drugs. A whisper at first, then a shadow that fell over our entire family. I watched my father's hope curdle into disappointment. The pride in his eyes when he looked at his son was replaced by a deep, weary sadness. I saw my mother cry silent tears into the dishwater at night. I loved them so much, and I felt so helpless. So, I did the only thing I could. I studied. I buried myself in books, fueled by a desperate desire to be the one who didn't disappoint them. I wanted to be the one to lift the weight off their shoulders, to take my brother's place in earning their pride. My dream wasn't just to get into college. It was to escape to the big city, Chicago, and build a life they could be proud of. When the acceptance letter came, it felt like the whole world had opened up. My parents' joy was a balm to my soul. They packed my bags with everything they could afford, their hopes and prayers tucked between my worn-out sweaters. Arriving in Chicago, I was every bit the small-town girl, wide-eyed and easily overwhelmed. The city was a symphony of noise and light, so different from the quiet hum of my hometown. I kept to myself, focused on my studies. For years, my life was a simple loop of lectures, library, and my part-time job, love. I didn't even have time to think about it until my final year. It happened on a Tuesday, one of those deceptively bright autumn days in Chicago where the wind still carries a bite. My bike chain snapped. Of course it did. I was in the middle of a street I didn't recognize, miles from my apartment, feeling the familiar prickle of frustration and helplessness. I was wrestling with the greasy chain when a car pulled over. Looks like you're in a bit of a jam. He leaned out of the driver's side window. He was older, maybe by 10 years, but his smile made him look boyish. It was a kind smile, the kind that reached his eyes, and when he smiled, a single crooked tooth, a canine, gave his face a unique, charming imperfection. He introduced himself as Ethan. He didn't just help me. He drove me and my broken bike all the way back to my apartment. His voice was a low, calming rumble, and as we talked, I felt a spark, a genuine, terrifying, capital S spark. It was the kind of thing you read about in books but never think will happen to you. When he asked for my number, I gave it to him without a second thought. My heart was doing a frantic tap dance against my ribs. From that day on, my phone became a source of constant joy. A good morning text waiting for me when I woke up. A call in the evening just to ask about my day. We went on dates. Simple at first. Coffee. Walks by the lakefront. He listened to me. He really, truly listened, making me feel like my dreams of being a writer were the most fascinating thing in the world. I fell for him, fast and hard. It was a dizzying, all-consuming first love. I was drowning in him, and I didn't even want to be saved. I learned about his life in pieces. He was 29, still technically single, living at home. His family was old Chicago money, the kind that had buildings named after them. They owned a successful import-export business. He was the heir with a younger sister, Lily. I should have been intimidated, but I was too in love to care. After 3 months, he said the words I was desperate to hear. I want you to meet my parents. I was terrified. I spent a week's wages on a simple, elegant dress, hoping I wouldn't look like the country mouse I was. But the evening went surprisingly well. Eleanor and her husband were polished and polite. My quiet, gentle demeanor, my height, my naive earnestness, it all seemed to please them. They saw me as a blank slate, I think, someone they could mold. Only Lily, his sister, watched me with a cool, appraising stare, her silence more unnerving than any criticism. But her parents were thrilled. They wanted Ethan to settle down. At 29, it was time. Eleanor spoke of weddings, of grandchildren, of settling into the family. I felt like I was floating. I thanked whatever God was listening for bringing this man, this life, to me. It felt like a fairy tale. I was the small-town girl who had won the heart of the city prince. Our relationship continued in that blissful haze. I graduated, found a small internship, and our days were filled with plans for the future. He spoke of a life together, of building a business, of a house with a yard. I believed every word. My future was a bright, shining picture, and he was at the center of it all. When his family started pressuring us to set a wedding date, I was hesitant at first. I was young, I wanted to build my career. But Ethan was persuasive, and the thought of losing him was unbearable. And, well, my friends back home were already married, with kids in tow. The idea of settling down, of stability, was a powerful lure. So, I said yes. We drove to Ohio to tell my parents. They adored him, of course. He was charming, successful, and he loved their daughter. What more could they ask for? That night, I lay in my childhood bed, my mom beside me, the scent of lavender from her worn-out pajamas filling the air. "Stella, honey, marriage is forever," she whispered into the darkness. "Are you absolutely sure about this?" "I am, Mom," I whispered back, my voice thick with certainty. "I love him. He's a good man. I've never been more sure of anything." She sighed, a soft, worried sound. He's from such a different world. And that city, it's so far away. I just worry about you. Mom, it's just a few hours drive. I'll come home all the time, I promise. Don't worry. I drifted off to sleep, wrapped in the warmth of her love and the intoxicating promise of my future. The next morning, a call came from Eleanor. Her voice was bright, musical. Stella, darling, I have the most wonderful news. I've had the astrologer draw up your charts. We have a perfect date for the wedding. You and Ethan should tell your parents we'll be coming down in 2 days to make it all official. I could hear Ethan's excited voice in the background. I had never seen him so happy. My heart swelled. I was going to marry the man of my dreams. That's all that mattered. Life, I thought, was perfect. Our engagement was a whirlwind. With the wedding date set, the last barrier between us seemed to melt away. We were caught up in the certainty of our future, and in a moment of passion, of love, so overwhelming it felt like the only real thing in the world, I gave him everything. I didn't think twice, and then, a month later, my period was late. I didn't pay much attention at first. I've never been perfectly regular, but my mother noticed everything. She has that sixth sense that all mothers seem to possess. Stella, she said one afternoon, her eyes narrowed slightly. When was your last cycle? I don't know, Mom. It's always a little off, I said, shrugging it off. Her expression sharpened. The last one was on the 16th of last month. It's been almost 6 weeks. Let me see your stomach. Before I could protest, she gently told me to lift my shirt. The moment the fabric was raised, she hummed, a low, knowing sound. Just as I thought. My breasts were tender, swollen. She didn't lecture me. She didn't scold. She just took me to the doctor. The confirmation was a quiet, clinical affair. Almost 6 weeks pregnant. On the drive home, my mom was silent for a long time. Then, she reached over and put her hand on my knee. Well, she said, her voice steady. You're getting married soon anyway. Your only job now is to eat well and take care of my grandbaby. No more running around like a chicken with its head cut off. You hear me? You have to walk gently now. Yes, Mom. Thank you, I whispered, my eyes filling with tears of relief. So, what are you craving? I'll make you anything you want. Maybe some pickles? Pickles? Good Lord, child, you need something with substance for the baby, not just pickles. I laughed through my tears. I was so lucky. In our small, conservative town, this could have been a scandal, a source of deep shame. But my mother met it with nothing but love and pragmatism. We called Ethan immediately. His joyous shout echoed through the phone. I'm going to be a dad. Stella, you've made me the happiest man alive. I love you. I love you both. My world was complete. I was floating on a cloud of pure bliss, dreaming of our perfect future, our perfect family. A little while later, my phone rang again. It was Eleanor. Ethan had already told her the news. Her voice was dripping with excitement. She gave me a long list of instructions, what to eat, what to avoid. No papaya, no spicy foods. Walk gently. Don't lift anything heavy. It was overwhelming, but I was smiling. She cared. But then she said the words that sent a small, cold shiver down my spine. You must take extra care, Stella. We can't have anything happen to my first grandson, the heir to the Vance family. Grandson. The word hung in the air. Suddenly, the joy felt conditional. A weight I hadn't known existed settled onto my shoulders. From that day on, I prayed every night for a boy. At the 3-month mark, Ethan drove me to the first ultrasound. The whole way there, he was practically vibrating with excitement. I can't wait to meet him, Stella. My little man, my son. That word again. Son. It made my stomach clench with anxiety. Lying on the table, the cold gel on my belly, my heart was hammering against my ribs. Please be a boy. Please be a boy. Please be a boy. The doctor smiled. Well, the baby is perfectly healthy, developing right on schedule. Ethan couldn't wait. He cut her off, his voice booming with excitement. So, is it a boy or a girl, Doc? The doctor's smile widened. You're having a beautiful, healthy little girl. She's going to be gorgeous, just like her mom. The words hit me like a physical blow. A girl. My body went limp. Tears pricked my eyes. It wasn't a son. Ethan. He said nothing. He just went completely, utterly silent. The drive home was suffocating. The silence was so thick I could barely breathe. The man who, just an hour before, had been bubbling with joy, was now a cold, distant stranger sitting next to me. The calls from Eleanor stopped. The cheerful check-ins, the unsolicited advice, all of it gone. Ethan grew more distant with each passing day. The texts became infrequent, the calls shorter. An icy dread began to creep into my heart. 3 days later, he called. His voice was flat, devoid of all emotion. Stella, we can't get married anymore. My world tilted on its axis. What? Ethan. Why? What are you talking about? His reply was blunt, brutal. I love you, Stella. I really do. But my mother, she needs a male heir. She needs a grandson to carry on the family name. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. This man, the man I had given my heart, my body, my future to, was casting me and our unborn child aside because of his mother's archaic desires. I hung up the phone, my mind refusing to accept it. This had to be a mistake. A horrible, cruel dream, but it was real. A few days later, Eleanor called my parents and officially, coldly, canceled the wedding. My mother was devastated. She held me as I sobbed, her own tears soaking my hair. What are you going to do now, my baby? She whispered, her voice choked with grief. I didn't know. All I could do was lie in my bed and cry for a fate I didn't deserve. The next day, I gathered every last scrap of my courage and called him again. The first call went straight to voicemail, the second, the same. On the third try, he picked up, but the voice that answered was not the man I loved. It was a stranger. Stop calling me. Stop bothering me and my family. His tone was like ice. If you can't give my family a son, then you don't deserve to be a part of it. The cruelty of it stole my breath. This couldn't be real. How could a family in this day and age, in a city like Chicago, be so obsessed with gender? That kind of thinking belonged to a forgotten, feudal past. I was carrying his child. His child, tears streaming down my face. I threw away the last of my pride and begged, Ethan, please, please don't do this. The first one is a girl, but we can have another one, and a third. We'll have a son eventually, I promise. Please, just don't do this. Just stop it, Stella, he snapped. It's not in the cards for you. You can't produce a son. Now leave it alone. How can you be so backward? You live in one of the biggest cities in the world. You're educated. How can you believe this nonsense? Shut your mouth, he roared. You know what? Just get rid of it. Get rid of the baby and stop showing up in my life. I don't want to see your face ever again. His words were a final, fatal blow. They shattered the last remnants of my heart. How could he say that about his own child? How could his parents be so cruel? I knew then that this wasn't just about the baby's gender. There had to be something else. Some deeper, darker reason. I had to know. I had to look him in the eye and hear it from his own mouth. I lied to my mother. I told her I had to go back to the university to pick up some documents, that I'd stay with my cousin for a couple of days. She was suspicious. Are you sure that's all it is, Stella? You're not going to see him, are you? No, Mom, I promise. Just paperwork. I'll be back in 2 days. As I was leaving, she grabbed my arm, her voice low and urgent, and then, we're going to the clinic to take care of this. The longer you wait, the harder it will be. I hesitated. Mom, I don't want to. It's not the baby's fault. Stella, that boy has disowned you. His family has humiliated us. They're monsters. God is watching, and they will get what they deserve. But you have to think about your future. But I still had a sliver of hope. A foolish, desperate hope that if Ethan saw me, saw the reality of our child growing inside me, he would change his mind. I'm going now, Mom. I'll be back soon. And so, I went. A lone, pregnant girl on a bus to Chicago, chasing the ghost of a man I once loved, hoping to salvage a future that was already turning to dust. I wanted my child to have a father. I wanted my family to be whole. I found his house easily. The memory of my first visit there seared into my brain. But Ethan wasn't home. Only his mother, Eleanor, and his sister, Lily. The moment Lily saw me through the glass of the front door, her face twisted into a sneer. "Mom," she called out, her voice dripping with venom. "The girl from Ohio is here." That's when she opened the door. That's when the words started. That's when my fairy tale came to its brutal, soaking wet end on the cold, unforgiving steps of their perfect home. I sat there on the curb for what felt like an eternity, the cold of the pavement seeping through my dress, my skin still damp, my heart a hollow ache in my chest. I was waiting for Ethan, clinging to the last, desperate thread of hope that he would come home, see me, and this whole nightmare would end. Lily would occasionally appear at the window, her face a mask of contempt. "Are you still here?" she'd call out through the glass. "Why are you haunting our house? He's not coming back for you." I just sat there, silent. "What's the matter?" she taunted. "My brother's not coming back until tomorrow. Are you going to sit there all night?" Silence was my only shield. "You're pregnant, aren't you?" she sneered, her voice laced with a cruel sort of pity. "You poor, stupid girl. Can't even keep your legs closed. Did you really think that would be enough to keep him? You should have known better." Each word was a fresh cut. I felt like a statue, frozen in my own misery. "He doesn't want it, you know," she continued, relentless. "And he's right not to. For all we know, it might not even be his." "You should be quiet," I finally managed to say, my voice a broken whisper. "You're not me. You have no idea what you're talking about." "Oh, I think I do," she scoffed. "You were stupid, and now you're paying the price. Your parents must be so proud." Just then, a sleek, black car pulled into the driveway. It was Ethan. My heart leaped. I stood up, my legs shaky. But he wasn't alone. A beautiful, impeccably dressed young woman got out of the passenger seat. Lily rushed to open the door. "Ethan, Anna, you're back." Seeing me, Ethan's face flickered with something. Annoyance? Guilt? He quickly masked it. "Stella, what are you doing here?" I rushed towards him, my hands reaching for his arm. "Ethan, please, we need to talk." He gently pushed the other woman, Anna, towards the house. "Anna, honey, Why don't you go inside with Lily for a minute? I'll handle this. Once they were gone, he turned to me, his face a cold, hard mask. What more is there to talk about, Stella? I told you, it's over. I let go of my pride, my dignity, everything. I let it all crumble at his feet. Please, don't do this, I begged, my voice cracking. I'm carrying our baby, Ethan, our child. You can't just throw us away. I already told you how I feel, he said, his voice flat. Stop clinging to this. It's over. I promise. I'll be good. I'll do anything. Just please, don't abandon me. Don't abandon our baby. I'm begging you. Stella, even if you offered me a mountain of gold, I wouldn't marry you now. Please, just leave. You saw her, didn't you? That's Anna. We're getting married next month, so please, stop following me. It's embarrassing. Next month? You're getting married next month? The words barely made it past the lump in my throat. Yes. Now go home. Go back to Ohio, get rid of the baby, and start over. If you keep it, your life will be ruined. Do it now, before anyone knows. Hide it. It's your only chance. I don't want to get rid of it. It's a sin. And what do you think bringing a child into this world without a father is? A blessing? It won't be happy. Do it now, while it's still small. It's almost 3 months, Ethan. It's a baby. Please, just reconsider. Reconsider what? Stella, look at me. Look at my life. What do you have to offer me? Do you know who Anna is? She's the daughter of a real estate mogul. This car I'm driving, she bought it for me. Her family has a penthouse on the Gold Coast. Her father is a senator. What do you have? Are you going to bleed me dry for child support? His words were so full of venom, so materialistic, that something inside me finally snapped. The hope I had been clinging to died a swift, violent death. So that's it, I said, my voice suddenly calm, eerily steady. You're trading me and your own child for money, for a life of luxury. I've known Anna since before you went back home for the summer, he admitted, not even bothering to look ashamed. I wasn't sure about me then, but now she is. Her father offered to set me up for life, make me a partner in his firm. All I have to do is marry her. This is my one shot, Stella. She can give me everything. You can't, so just step aside. Don't ruin this for me. I'm begging you. There was nothing left to say. The tears had stopped. A cold, hard resolve settled in my chest. I wouldn't cry for this man. He wasn't worth a single one of my tears. Well then, I said, looking him straight in the eye, I wish you a lifetime of happiness with your sugar mama. I hope you enjoy being a kept man, a lapdog living in another man's shadow, because that's what you are. How dare you? Oh, I dare. And now I see it clearly. A person like you was never worthy of me. Now I know I made the right choice. He turned to walk away, and I called after him. Go on, get inside your gilded cage. He slammed the door behind him. It was over, truly over. A person doesn't cling to someone who feels nothing for them. They only cling to someone who still has a heart, and his was clearly gone, replaced by $signs. I wiped the last of the tears from my face and told myself to be strong. It's going to be okay, Stella. You can get through this. You don't need him. You don't need any of them. I walked to the bus station in a daze and took the long, lonely ride back home. It was almost 10 o'clock at night when the bus finally pulled into the familiar, sleepy depot of my hometown. The air, thick with the smell of damp earth and distant wood smoke, was a stark contrast to the metallic tang of the city. I walked home under a sky littered with stars I hadn't been able to see for years. My mother was waiting up, the porch light cutting a lonely yellow rectangle into the darkness. She saw me coming up the gravel path, and her face, etched with worry, tightened. "You're back early," she said, her voice quiet. "I thought you were staying for 2 days." "My cousin was busy," I lied, the words feeling like ash in my mouth. "So I just came home." I couldn't meet her eyes. "Did you eat?" "I had a sandwich on the bus. I'm just really tired, Mom. I think I'm going to go to bed." She didn't press. She just nodded, her eyes full of a pain that mirrored my own. I went to my room, the same room I'd grown up in, and lay down on the bed, fully clothed. Today, I had begged a man to love me. I had been doused in water and shame. I had been told to dispose of my own child like an inconvenience. The exhaustion was bone deep, but sleep wouldn't come. All night long, my mind was a battlefield. 2 opposing thoughts fought a war inside my skull. One voice, pragmatic and wounded, whispered, "Get rid of it. Listen to your mother. Listen to him. You can start over. No one has to know. You can erase this mistake, pretend it never happened, and build a new life, a clean life." But another voice, a deeper, more primal one, fought back. "This is not a mistake. This is a child, your child. It has a heartbeat. It's a part of you. How can you live with yourself if you end a life just to make your own easier? You will be a mother. You have to protect your baby." I tossed and turned, the sheets twisting around me like shackles. What was the right thing to do? Could I really face the whispers, the stares, the judgment of this small town? Could I condemn my child to a life without a father, marked by the scandal of its birth? But could I live with the silent, gaping hole that would be left in my soul if I didn't? The sun rose before I found an answer. I must have drifted off eventually, because the next thing I knew, my mother was gently shaking me awake. "Stella, get up, honey." Her voice was soft, but there was an unnerving resolve in it. "I've made pancakes. Eat something, and then get dressed. We need to go." "Go where?" I mumbled, my head thick with exhaustion. "I'm taking you to the clinic over in Westerville," she said, avoiding my gaze. "It's better if we go to the next county. No one will know us there." The words jolted me fully awake. I sat up, the blanket falling away. "No," I said, my voice shaking. "Mom, no, I'm not going. Please, let me keep the baby." Her face hardened with a pained frustration. "Stella, don't be a fool. Do you have any idea what people will say? They'll call you a tramp. They'll say you have no morals. This town, it will eat you alive. Do you want to live like that? A disgrace? I don't care what they say. I'll handle it." "You think you can handle it now?" she said, her voice rising. "But you're young. This is a knee-jerk reaction. You will regret this for the rest of your life." "I'm trying to protect you. I've thought about it all night, Mom. I barely slept. I know what I want. I'll keep my baby. I'll raise it myself. Please. Please agree." "No," she said, her voice final. I said no, and I mean it. "Then I'll leave," I said, the words tumbling out before I could stop them. "If you won't agree, if you're ashamed of me, then I'll go somewhere else. I'll go and have this baby on my own." That was it. The dam of her composure broke. She exploded, yelling at me, her words a torrent of fear and anger and love all tangled together. I didn't say another word. I just got up, walked to my closet, and pulled out my old backpack. I started stuffing clothes into it, my hands trembling. I was zipping it up when she appeared in the doorway, her face pale, her eyes red. She watched me for a moment, and then all the fight seemed to drain out of her. "All right," she sighed, her voice heavy with defeat. "Stop it. Just stop. You're not going anywhere. You're pregnant. For God's sake. Where would you even go? Who would take care of you when the baby comes? She walked over and pulled me into her arms. You stay here. You stay home. We'll raise it together. I collapsed against her, sobbing with relief and gratitude. Thank you, Mom. Thank you. She held me tight, stroking my hair. Then she pulled back, her eyes serious. But you listened to me, she said, her voice stern again. I have said my piece. I have told you what I think. You've chosen not to listen. So when things get hard, and they will get hard, you have to be strong enough to bear it. Don't you come crying to me then. I won't, I whispered. I promise. And so, I stayed. Life fell into a new rhythm. I was pregnant, so I stayed close to home, helping with cooking and cleaning. My mother was fiercely protective. As the months passed and my belly began to swell, the whispers started. The neighbors would watch me from behind their curtains. People at the grocery store would fall silent when I walked down an aisle. Some were bold enough to ask my mother directly, "So, who's the father, Helen?" They'd ask, their voices dripping with false concern. My mother would just lift her chin and walk away. I know it hurt her deeply, but for my sake and for the sake of her unborn grandchild, she endured it all. She always said that gossip has a short shelf life. People talk for a few months, and then they find something new to whisper about. And then, in the spring, I gave birth to my daughter, Grace. She was perfect, tiny, beautiful, and utterly mine. In the loving, protective bubble of my parents' home, she was all that mattered. Life became a whirlwind of feedings, diaper changes, and sleepless nights. It was exhausting, but it was also joyous. Holding my daughter, watching her sleep, seeing her first smile. It was a love so powerful it began to heal the shattered pieces of my heart. The wound from Ethan slowly began to scar over. Sometimes, in the dead of night, I would wonder about him. Was he happy? Was his life of wealth and privilege everything he dreamed it would be? I supposed it was. Money is its own kind of happiness. After all, 3 years went by in a blur. We never saw or heard from Ethan again. I wondered if he ever thought of me, if he even remembered that somewhere in Ohio he had a daughter he had discarded without a second thought. But then I'd look at Grace, and I'd know that we were better off. We didn't need him. We had my parents, we had each other, and we were okay. When Grace turned 3, I took the small savings I'd scraped together and opened my own business, a little nail salon in the heart of town. It was hard work, but it took off. I was good at it, and people appreciated the care I took. For the first time, I had a steady, reliable income. Life wasn't just okay anymore, it was comfortable. With Grace getting older and my business stable, my parents started a new campaign. They wanted me to get married. They worried about me growing old alone, about having no one to lean on. At first, I refused. The scar on my heart was a constant reminder of the pain love could cause. But my cousins, my aunts, my entire extended family joined in. They wore me down with their relentless, well-meaning pressure. Finally, I gave in. My cousin Sarah was the one who set me up. "I have the perfect guy for you, Stella," she'd said, her eyes shining. "His name is Abraham. He was in my class in high school. He's such a good man, quiet, hardworking. He just got back from working overseas for a few years. You'd be so happy with him, I just know it." I agreed to meet him. Abraham was 2 years older than me, from the next town over. He was kind, gentle, and had a warmth about him that was immediately disarming. He was easy to talk to, but the moment I knew he was different, the moment a tiny spark of hope ignited in my chest, was when he spoke about grace. "I know it's not easy," he said, his voice sincere. "But if you'll let me, I'd love to get to know her. And if this works out, I want you to bring her with you. We'll raise her together. I'll love her as if she were my own." Tears sprang to my eyes. To hear those words, after everything I had been through, it felt like a miracle. I thought to myself, this is him. This is the man I'm meant to be with. 2 months later, we were married. It was a simple ceremony filled with the genuine blessings of our friends and family. Everyone told me how lucky I was. Abraham was handsome, from a good family, and he adored me and my daughter. It felt like my life was finally turning a corner. I was stepping out of the darkness and into the sun. His parents were wonderful. They loved me, and they doted on Grace. After the wedding, they gave us our own house, right next to theirs. Abraham handed me all of the cash gifts we'd received from the wedding, telling me to manage our finances. Everything was perfect. It was a dream come true. But as I would soon learn, some dreams are just beautiful lies. The biggest source of my unease, the one thing that felt jarringly out of place in our perfect new life, was our intimacy, or rather, the lack of it. In the first month of our marriage, we were only intimate twice. Have you ever been with someone where you can feel them just going through the motions? That was Abraham. It felt like a duty, a performance. He had to physically force himself, his body tense and his breathing strained. There was no passion, no desire. For a newly married couple, it was strange, deeply unsettling. The second month was even worse. Just once. It was clear he had absolutely no desire for me. I tried to tell myself it was nothing. Maybe he was tired, stressed from starting a new life back home. I went online and researched low libido in men. I bought expensive supplements, vitamins, anything that promised to help. When I presented them to him, he recoiled as if I'd offered him poison. "What is this for?" he asked, his voice sharp. "Why did you waste money on this?" "It's to help," I said gently. "I thought maybe." "I'm perfectly normal, Stella." "I know you are," I said, trying to choose my words carefully. "Your health is perfect, but the other thing, you know, the other thing? What are you trying to say? That I'm not man enough for you?" His face darkened with an anger I'd never seen before. "Is that what this is about? 1 month, 2 times. What, is that not enough for you?" The accusation stung. "Abraham, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just worried about you." "Oh, now I get it," he sneered, and his next words were a slap in the face. "Now I see why you ended up pregnant and alone before. You're insatiable, aren't you? Marriage is about love and companionship, Stella, not just satisfying your appetites." The cruelty of his words, throwing my past in my face, left me speechless. I was hurt and deeply ashamed. From that day on, I never mentioned it again. I threw the expensive supplements in the trash. I told myself that if he wanted to be intimate once a month, or never again, I wouldn't care. We lived in the same house, but a chasm had opened up between us. We didn't speak for a week. He made no effort to apologize. One morning, my mother-in-law called me over. She was a kind woman, and she could sense the tension. She sat me down at her kitchen table, a worried look in her eyes. "How are things with you and Abraham?" she asked gently. I hesitated, then decided to be honest. I told her everything about his lack of desire, his anger when I tried to help. "We've only been together 3 times in 2 months, I confessed, my voice barely a whisper. "How am I supposed to get pregnant and give you the grandchild you want if this continues." She sighed, a deep, weary sound. "Don't you worry about that. He's probably just having back pain again. It flares up sometimes. Just give him some time, dear. He'll be fine." Back pain. I knew it was an excuse. I had seen him at the gym, lifting weights, moving with an ease that belied any sort of physical ailment, but I didn't push. A few days later, I was walking Grace to preschool when I overheard my mother-in-law talking to our next-door neighbor over the low garden wall that separated our properties. Their voices carried clearly in the quiet morning air. "So, is Stella pregnant yet?" the neighbor asked. "Not yet," my mother-in-law sighed. "I'm still waiting. It's been 2 months now." "Well, has Abraham, is he back to normal? Or is he still seeing that Brian fellow?" My heart stopped. Brian? Who was Brian? I stood frozen, hidden by the large lilac bush at the corner of our house, and strained to hear more. "I don't know," my mother-in-law said, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "I haven't seen Brian come around since the wedding. I don't know if they've really ended it. I pray to God they have. He's a married man now. He can't be carrying on with another man. It's not right. Another man." The words echoed in my head, a deafening roar. "You have to keep encouraging him," the neighbor said. "He needs to forget Brian. In our country, this kind of love, it's not accepted. He has a wife now. He has a responsibility to Stella. I've talked to him until I'm blue in the face," my mother-in-law lamented. "He has to get married, have children, carry on the family name. I will not allow him to bring another man into this family. If he keeps seeing that boy, I'll die of shame. Now, calm down. Things will work out." "I'm just so heartbroken," she whispered, her voice thick with tears. "Other people have sons, and they're normal. Why is my son gay? Why am I so cursed gay? My husband was gay." Suddenly, everything clicked into place. The disinterest, the forced intimacy, the anger, the excuses. It all made a horrible, devastating kind of sense. He wasn't attracted to me. He was in love with a man. He had to force himself to be with me, a task that must have been agonizing for him. And I, in my ignorance, had never even considered it. I stumbled back into my house, my legs weak, and collapsed onto the bed. The tears came, hot and bitter. My life was a joke, a cruel, cosmic joke. My first love was a heartless monster who abandoned me for money. And now, my second chance, the man I thought was my salvation, was a gay man who had married me out of family duty. He didn't love me. He couldn't love me. He was just using me as a cover, a means to an end. I began to dig. It wasn't hard. In a town this size, secrets are a currency, and plenty of people were willing to talk. The story came out in pieces. Abraham and Brian had been together for 5 years. It was an open secret. When their families found out, the backlash was so severe that they'd fled the country, living together as a couple overseas. It was only when his parents went there and essentially bribed him to come home, offering him a house, a car, a monthly allowance for life, that he agreed. The only condition was that he had to marry a woman and produce an heir. That woman was me. I was his ticket to a comfortable life, his shield against a society that wouldn't accept him. I was a broodmare, hired to carry on the Wen family name. The most shocking part? I learned that in his relationship with Brian, Abraham was the receptive partner. He wasn't the husband in that relationship. He was the wife. No wonder being with me was an ordeal for him. I felt no anger towards him for being gay. Love is love, and I could never judge that. But the deception, that cut me to the core. He had lied to me, used me, and trapped me in a sham of a marriage. That night, when he came home from his late night at the gym, I was waiting for him. I had the divorce papers printed out and sitting on the coffee table. "Let's end this," I said, my voice calm. "I don't want either of us to live in this awkward, painful charade anymore." He saw the papers and his face went pale. He sank onto the couch. "You know, it wasn't a question." "Yes, and I want you to know I don't hate you for who you love. I'm just sad. You should have been honest with me from the beginning." "I'm sorry, Stella," he whispered, his eyes filled with a genuine, heartbreaking sorrow. "I am so sorry." "It's okay," I said, and I meant it. "I forgive you. Go be happy, Abraham. Live your life honestly. Be with the person you love." "Thank you," he said, tears rolling down his cheeks. "Thank you, Stella. Go be with Brian. There are so many people who live openly and happily now. Your parents will come around eventually. You deserve to be happy." After our talk, I went next door and spoke to his parents. I told them that I didn't blame their son and that they shouldn't either. I told them that after 5 years together, Abraham and Brian's love was real and deserved respect. I urged them to accept their son for who he was, so he could finally live an authentic life. With those conversations, a great weight lifted from my shoulders. I packed my and Grace's things, and we moved back into my parents' house to wait for the divorce to be finalized. My mother was shocked, of course, to have her daughter's second marriage fall apart so quickly, and for such a reason was a lot to take in. But I talked her through it, helped her understand, and eventually, her shock turned to sympathy for Abraham. I returned to my life. I poured my energy into my nail salon, into being the best mother I could be for my little girl. I worked hard, I saved money, and I built a stable, peaceful life for us. I made a promise to myself then. No more men, no more marriage. My life would be about my work and my daughter. That was enough. That was everything. The future is unwritten, of course, but for now, I already have the greatest love of my life right here beside me, my beautiful daughter, Grace. And for me, that is more than enough.